I'm the same man in other circumstances.
Yes. He's the same man. He's
But I
the
can't-
boss.
yeah.
He's the daddy.
Yeah, exactly.
He's the traveler. He's the hotel owner. Hey everybody, welcome to Olives and Orgasms. Ali here today.
I am Gab. Nice to meet you.
It's been a while since he's been here. And we are filming outside today, so I'm not sure if you're going to be hearing the wind, the bees, the birds, but it makes a nice background noise. So today I wanted to film a video about something that I think is really, really fun that we do in our relationship. I think it contributes a lot of value to our sex life, and it's just something that I think is fun. So it's sexy role playing.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. So, now when you think of sexy role play, you might think of like weird costumes, police officers, nurses, I don't know, what else? Animals.
Yes. Big furry bear.
Big furry bears. But even though those things are role-playing, yes, they are, there's also a whole array of different things that you could do for role-playing, which we're going to talk about in this video. We're just going to share some stuff that we do. And, you know, if you get something out of it, great. If not, then hopefully it was just worth a listen. So if you guys have any experience with role play, tell us what you think about it right in the comments below. I'd like to know what you've done, what you haven't done, what you like, what you don't like. Could be funny, could be embarrassing. Role playing is fun. That's what it's all about. So, Gab, let me ask you, out of all your sexual experiences that you've had, how many times have you role played? Or was role playing kind of a normal thing that you would engage in?
So, how many times? Maybe 200 times, and they're all with you.
Oh. Interesting.
So, I don't think that's it. Well, you did your little survey with my friend, and I don't think that's a very French-Canadian habit to put
interesting.
yourself in another character. I think when we have sex, usually, like the culture is like it's us having sex, like, and we're staying ourselves.
So you are Gab and she is Sheila.
Yes, and then I met you, and then it was all of a sudden I was this emperor coming back to my chambers, or I don't know, like then it was like I was staying myself, but you weren't you. You were that girl that we saw at the coffee this morning who we really liked. And then I was having sex with her all of a sudden. To answer your question, I think 200 times, and they were all with you.
Okay. You never had a situation before where a girl was like, "Oh, daddy."
Not that I recall.
Okay.
So
Honest answer.
probably like it happened and I don't remember, but it must have happened very rarely.
The cultural bit is interesting too, which we can get into. But in terms of my experience, let me just be clear. I'm not some kind of role-playing sexpert who's taken classes and done many readings and very knowledgeable of the topic. I only started having fun with this a couple years ago when I was in my slutty phase. My slutty single phase, I guess you could say. And, you know, it's kind of hard to break that out into the bedroom because not everyone is super open to that. But I did meet someone who was kind of open, so we experimented a little bit, and that was really fun. So I decided to just go head on after when I met Gab. And it was great. And I have quite a vivid sexual imagination. So you'll never see me go to an improv class or do theater or anything like that in real life because I'm quite a shy person. But behind closed doors, I don't know what comes over me. I have an imagination. I like to use it on him, on me, and it's just more fun. And also, I want to mention that I never really watched a lot of porn up until recently-ish. So whatever scenarios I was making up in my head are not coming from Pornhub. They're coming from my imagination. So, I'd like to give myself credit for that because I think it's pretty special, isn't it?
It is.
Yes.
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 You're like a sex genius expert.
Right. So when we met, I think it was maybe the third or the fourth time that we slept together that I kind of tried it with you. And do you remember the exact retell or do you remember how that went down? Because I don't remember sleeping with you and being like, oh, let's try role playing. Like, I didn't introduce it like that. I think we were in the middle of...
It was more like you arrived with the characters.
I just went straight in.
And I wasn't really prepared, but I didn't need to be.
I did all the talking.
So, well, the thing is, it was at the auberge, and the auberge is like this big compounds with many rooms, and then when I walk out those doors, I'm like the boss of this thing, so it does feel a little like a castle, where we have the nice apartment on top with the nice view and the bear thing hanging over the bed. So it was kind of like a king emperor castle scenario thingy. And so yes, I remember that. And then I remember also, I was like, oh damn, like I can't believe the shit that comes out of this mouth. Like, but I couldn't really participate. Like it was more like you did the talking, and I was more like, yes.
Yes, I remember that. I was doing all the talking, which I don't mind doing because I like to set up a whole scenario. And he was just so into it. I remember him just being like, yes, oh, yes, 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 yes. And then that was it. And what was our story?
Something king emperor with many rooms visiting people and like rooms.
Was I always myself?
No, I think you were, and that's the thing too. It changes sometimes. Then you're someone, then you're someone else. It's like it doesn't need to be really. It's like a dream,
We embody different characters. Sometimes I'm me. Sometimes I'm another girl. Sometimes I'm the girl that's with you while I'm watching you. Actually.
Sometimes it did happen to us. Sometimes it never happened to us. Oh my God.
Man.
But yeah, so
I remember you told me the next day, when you called your friends, you said, guys, you will never believe the shit that I heard last night.
yes, the guys were pretty impressed.
Well.
But again, not a French-Canadian thing to do, so we don't have that much experience into
that I think is really interesting. And I'd like to know what you guys think about that in terms of sexual cultural differences when it comes to role-playing. Well, we've had this discussion before with a few of our French-Canadian friends, and they really don't do any role-playing. Like, we do a lot of, well, not just us, but in general, like, the whole, daddy role is quite popular, but they don't do that. It's weird for them to be like, oh oui, papa, comme pour moi. Like, it's just, they don't do it at all. And anyways, I'd be curious to hear.
We see it on Pornhub all the time, like stepmom and stepdad and stepsisters and stuff. We just don't do it, I think. It's just like, it's still like, oh, that's things that we jerk off to. And then when we have sex, we're ourselves. But it's just like, it's a cultural thing because it seems that the Canadian Anglo side, a lot of the guys are daddy and a lot of the girls are little girls coming home from their gym and had friends over.
So So yeah, please let me know what you guys experience with this, any cultural differences. So the other night, I was watching a documentary on Netflix about sex, and they were talking about fantasies, and a research study showed that the three most popular fantasies among a huge sample of men and women was group sex, novelty, and power play. So the role-playing aspect for me kind of brings in that novelty into the bedroom, because we can come up with all kinds of new stuff, just the two of us. And I think that's really powerful, and it keeps things kind of exciting and new, because we never really know what's going to come out of my mouth. For you, anyways.
But I gotta say that most of the time is like girls that we saw that we think were cute, and then all of a sudden, I have sex with her, which is great because then it's like really novel.
Yeah, so actually, when you're looking at a lot of the different kinds of power dynamic play with role playing, it's a lot of like boss, employee, lifeguard, swimmer, nurse, patient, daddy, little girl. But there's also a lot of like non-monogamous stuff out there too, which some people think it's kind of hot. I don't know if you guys do, but I know that I really get excited thinking about Gab with another girl, and I'm lucky because I get to see it happen a lot in front of me, and that excites me quite a bit. And so when we are together, I often create scenarios where he is sleeping with another girl, but I am that other girl. And most of the time, not most of the time, some of the time, it's girls that we know, girls that we've already slept with, and we kind of fantasy play with that. And it makes me really excited that he's getting pleasure from that. And oftentimes when we're done, he's just kind of like, I just had sex with so-and-so. And I'd like to know what goes on in your head when I'm talking and when I'm like planting these visuals in your brain. Are you thinking about her? Like, what do you imagine in your brain? Because I know what I see in my brain, and I'm a very visual person. And I'm like, I have a gift, I think, when it comes to having visualizations in my head and painting pictures in my brain of what I see. And so I don't know if it's the same for you.
Well, I'm having sex with her all of a sudden because it's like we're talking about that stuff, so I'm remembering stuff. So then my brain just goes away, and like then it's a scenario where I have sex with her, and you're not really there, which is like, I guess when we're watching porn, we kind of do this too. Mm-hmm. We're watching porn, but we're also thinking of other things. There's also like thoughts, and we're all of a sudden like in one time that we had sex. So the brain kind of tricks you into thinking that like, it's a, and then it becomes like a weird half reality. Like I'm half there and half away, but like, and then who cares, because the excitation level just goes up, and then you're
Absolutely.
like, hey, I'm having sex with another girl. Not really, but who cares?
Well, that's the whole thing when it comes to fantasy, right? Fantasies are weird. Fantasies are out of the ordinary. Fantasies are things that we can't experience in real life for whatever reason, because of certain circumstances, maybe a little bit of shame, embarrassment.
Maybe they're not interested in sleeping with us.
Maybe they're not interested in sleeping with us, which doesn't mean that we could use them in our brain.
Yeah, there you go.
So fantasies can be very strange and very weird. And oftentimes, fantasies are different than what we present ourselves to be in the real world, which is really special and liberating and transcending, that you can imagine yourself, visualize yourself doing something different, being something different for just a moment in time, and really putting yourself in that place and experiencing a type of pleasure that is just so incredible and new and novel and exciting. without having to deal with any shame or judgment and so on. And the bedroom is a really great place to do those things, especially if you have a partner that you feel really, really safe with, where you can make up these crazy scenarios without any judgment or any shame. You know, I don't feel those things with you. I feel like it can be very comfortable. There are for sure things that I have thought of that I haven't voiced to him. I mean, we talk a lot, and we do this a lot in bed, but there's always like a little part of myself that keeps something for me.
It's okay. You can skate it up slowly.
Exactly. Exactly. And just because we fantasize about those things doesn't necessarily mean we want them to materialize in the real world, right? So, I mean, you're probably thinking, oh, well, if you think about Gab having sex with other women all the time, then he might just go off and have sex with other women. And yes, that might be the case in a lot of situations. But in my situation, that's not really what I want.
So, I was thinking about this the other day because it was like, let's say on Pornhub, the whole stepsister thingy just invaded Pornhub and replaced the daddy thing that was the 90s and 2000 thing.
Still my thing.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, but we are from the 80s,
Yeah.
90s. But I was thinking, like, do we really, like, what excites people? And is it really having sex with their stepsisters? And I don't think so. I think what excites people is seeing two adults who play like they are stepsisters and they have sex. And that somehow is like the weird fucked up thing in our brain that we like that. We don't like the actual thing. It's the playing around. Because we know when we watch those actors that they're not related, which makes it fun. If they were for real related, nobody would watch it.
That's an interesting point, actually.
So we like to see adults play something, or we like to play ourselves, but not the real thing. Like the real thing is like, never. We just want to see actors do it.
You really want to fuck your little girl?
I have no little girls, so first of all. Plus, it's not like, when we talk about it, like French Canadian, especially, but also like other people, I've been seeing you do your survey, and like, oh God, no. And they're like, and they bring it back to reality. Like, that's not good. And it's like,
That's
but
wrong.
Yeah, that's wrong. But yeah, the real thing is wrong.
But the fantasy
is who cares?
exciting,
Yeah.
because again, it's something that happens behind closed doors. It's play. It's just play.
It's just
You're
fun.
playing.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's play. It's imaginative. And a really important point that I want to bring up again is having a partner that you can do these things with, because oftentimes you might feel a little weird in this situation or being in a character. I know Gab, when we first started doing it, or when I first started presenting it, he did feel a little weird. And he still kind of doesn't talk too much because I'm just really good at taking the lead on these things. But he didn't really know what to say, especially because we speak to, like, our first languages are different as well. So communicating naturally in a role play situation when your first languages aren't the same, it can be a little bit difficult. And so finding someone that you can be really sexy and dirty with, but that you can also laugh with, is really, really important. Because yeah, there's going to be some times that might be a little bit awkward. And if you're able to just laugh it off and be weird and then get right back into this sexy, dirty kind of role play, that to me is the best kind of balance, and not feel weird about it. And yeah, we always laugh about it after. The debriefing is always really fun, about what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it, what was kind of weird, what came up. And the aftercare, my favorite thing. So after we have sex and I just pretended to be somebody else for 20 minutes, the aftercare for me is important. So, we stay in bed and we cuddle and we laugh and we talk, and
Yeah, then you kind of like slowly comes back to yourself. Like, you're like, okay, I'm here. It's like,
There's my girlfriend.
yeah, like it's,
It's her.
yeah, now we have to go somewhere. It's like you come back to real life. You're like, oh my God, what just happened?
I just had sex with another woman. Or two, or three. And in case you're wondering, no, we never role play that Gab is another man.
But it's like, I'm the same man in other circumstances.
Yes, he's the same man. He's
But I
the
can't-
boss.
yeah.
He's the daddy.
Yeah, exactly.
He's the traveler. He's the hotel owner. He's the
That was the king thing.
king. He's been the king a few times.
Yeah. But I'm still me. But I can't act like you. But it's the same. It's the same. It's always the same types of characters,
It's a
even
power
for
dynamic.
you. And
It's
then
always a power
you
dynamic.
play around with the name that you give it. But
Yeah.
I would never be able to be someone else completely. It's just like not that good an actor.
It's okay. You just have to say yes.
Yes.
My last question for you is, do you think this has a positive or a negative effect on our sex life?
Nah, I'd say positive. Like anything that is kind of fun is positive. But I see like sex as two kids playing or more. Like it's just fun. That's the way I see sex. I don't like when people are like, sex is so like important, and we look ourselves in the eyes, and it's like this whole level of I'm like, yeah. That doesn't sound fun. I would just want fun. So this, what we're doing is fun and sexy, and so, yeah.
But sometimes does it excite you or make you think about sleeping with other women?
But
Like-
here's the thing. I will think about sleeping with other women every,
Second?
I'd say like 20 minutes. Like I'm walking around, I'm like, oh. And then my brain just starts like, oh, it could be cool to have sex with her. She has a big butt. So I don't like, that's another process that nobody has control over it, even me. So more or less, no, I don't think it has any effect on that. It's just like it has effect on us being there, having fun, and just telling a story and having sex like over that story. And
About that girl with the big butt.
for example, entre autres. Entre autres. So I think it has a positive effect. That's it. But it has no effect on the like long term. Will it something like? But I do think something though. I think like about the scaling up. Like I talked to a friend who had like really fucked up experience of I don't know what exactly, but she did tell me like we kind of went too weird too fast, and then it was like we needed that to have sex, and we couldn't have normal sex again, and I can see that, and I also heard a wrestler saying that he was a wrestler in the '90s, and he was like it screwed up my sex life because then it was like always two at a time and then more and then with toys and then I'll just watch and it was going crazier and crazier and then he couldn't have like normal sex when he was coming home with his wife.
No bueno.
So I do think that it's kind of like a little trick that you do in a sex say life, but to start to make it like a routine and it has to be done, that's where you would need to scale it down and not like just
Not
rewire.
make it all about that.
Yeah, like if you start to rewire your brain where you have to be in a character, then I would say like, then it's maybe not so good. But that's not it. Like
Sometimes I like it when you're just Gab.
well, we don't have to talk, and we don't talk all the time. So that's the thing. It's
Yeah.
not. Sometimes it's
Sometimes it's just quiet sex.
yeah, normal sleepy sex or whatever.
And go back to bed.
Yeah, exactly. So So I think that the way we are doing it, like that slowly kind of like from time to time, is good. I do think that adding it too often, too weird, too like that wouldn't be so good. Yeah, that's what I think.
That's a good point. Based on my experience, our experience, if this is something that you're interested in trying, if we piqued your interest, some tips that I would recommend is to obviously talk to your partner first about some boundaries, or if you feel really comfortable with them already, you can do as I did and just dive right in there without asking any permission and just surprise them and see what happens. And start small. Okay, it doesn't have to be too crazy, like, you know, Roman emperor entering all his chambers with all his maids and stuff.
Ow.
And, you know, just keep it super, super simple. And don't be shy to get into character. So this is something for me, whenever I do something with him, I like fully commit 100%. Would you agree?
Yes.
Full on commit. I just like put myself in there. That way I can just have fun with it and be free and see what happens. Just like I said, the bedroom is a safe space for you guys to play and have fun without any shame or judgment, if that's the kind of vibe that you and your partner have going on. So just fully commit and try if you can. And I would also recommend, if you are shy to do this with your partner, you could always start with sexting. So I am also quite an imaginative sexter, and I used to make up stories and role plays all the time, and I would just write these novel sexts to you, and I'll share those in another video at another time. But you can get imaginative through writing first and kind of build up the spice that way. Did you enjoy those sexts?
Yes, I did.
Yes, they were quite juicy. We don't do that as often or at all anymore, actually.
But we're together, so. But I enjoyed that more. Sexting is like the thing that you do when you can't have real sex.
Yeah.
But I will choose real sex over sexting any day. So I don't miss that I was in Les Éboulements and you were in Montreal.
Yeah.
That I don't miss. But the sexting was fun.
It was. And just so you know, during the sexting, Gab also would respond with one-liners as well, because he just didn't know what to say. So I'd be writing all these things and he'd be like, yeah, baby. Oh, yeah. Yes. I love it.
I like the
And, you know, that was it. So it was fun. It was playful. And that's it. That's what I wanted to share with you guys, because it's something that I really enjoy doing. And I just wanted to talk about it, normalize it, and especially don't forget about the aftercare. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you are curious to hear some of my attempts at audio erotica, you can check it out on my Patreon and support me with a small contribution if you like the work that I'm doing. If you don't like the work that I'm doing, that's okay. You don't have to watch. Thank you so much for chatting with me today.
Ça fait plaisir.
Always a pleasure. And please let me know what you guys think, what your experiences are. Again, leave it in the comments below. I would love to hear what you all have to say. Thank you for sharing, and thank you all.